Hello, fellow gamers and dreamers and players out there. It is I, Kano Vol, your daily bard. Oh, what a story I've got for you. Today, we begin our tale of the mask, a long and arduous story that it was played every Sunday for about 9 hours, sometimes longer. To begin, allow me to introduce our characters for this episode. We have our DM, fresh into DMing. Our next character will be Shadak, a traveling mask salesman with skill in illusion spells. He was marvelous. Next would be our druid, Celegwynn. She was fresh to adventure and innocent to the world. She was played by someone who did not know how to min-max, so having a druid in the party was pretty sweet. Our final member of the party at this time was Kasey Joans, the ranger. He didn't know anything about his past and just roamed the world, ready and searching for adventure. Out of game, I was just learning to play and wasn't ready to make a 10-page backstory. My DM said it was fine and we moved on. Using broad strokes, because I don't want to go into too much detail on what happens with this classic module, we each got a letter for our plot hook to bring us to the small village of Oakhurst. Kasey saw a bounty to find the missing brother and sister Hecrolays that went with an adventuring party down into a nearby citadel. Celegwynn's druid circle received news that goblins had stolen the winter apple of Oakhurst and was dispatched to investigate further. Shadak had been nearby when he heard of this winter apple, figured he could make a way to sell it and make some quick golds. We all met in the tavern, as all parties do. After meeting with our respective informants, we discovered all roads led to the Citadel. We all decided it would be safer to go as a team, sleep for the night, and leave in the morning. We talked a bit about ourselves on the way to the Citadel, learning a little bit about each other's backstory. Shadak carved all of his masks himself out of varying materials. Celegwynn had an owl, who wasn't a pet but her friend. Kasey had no memory of where he was from, only that he woke up a week ago from under a tree and had a long sword next to him. The party made it to a 300-foot cliff and climbed down a rope safely. The citadel had fallen intact into a canyon. The stone structure was maybe 100 feet tall. Either way, it looked good for all that it had been through. We approached the citadel, and as we made our way to the door, we were ambushed by rats. We got our butts handed to us, but we survived, and this is where we called it a night for our first session. Out of game, I was already not liking my character, Kasey Joans, and had asked the DM if I could swap characters or something. I bugged him all week long with different classes and asked him if it was okay to play this class or another class. I was extremely new to D&D and had only just discovered that there was more than one book with other classes in them. I saw the Hexblade class and fell in love with it almost immediately. After the 9th time of changing my class idea for the week, my DM said just pick a class and stick with it. I'm not going to be changing characters though, and the class change will happen after the next time I die. I was all hell yeah, and went into the next game super duper excited about my Kasey Joans death. The next session started, and after making pleasantries, we started the game back again. We opened the door to the citadel and were ambushed by goblins and rats. Kasey valiantly ran headfirst into the center of the battle, taking as many attacks of opportunity as humanly possible. And if I remember right, I actually zigged and zagged to get them all. And my first level ranger super died. Celegwynn and Shadak dispatched of the rest of the enemy combatants with ease, while they were all focused on murdering me. So the party decided it would be best to trek all the way back to Oakhurst to take my body to a local priest to see if anything could be done. They tied my body, not that well considering Kasey was the only member of the party with ranks and used rope, and tried to pull me up the cliff. My body still had a spear in it, but that was used to stabilize my body, I guess. Either way, on the 5th time my body was dropped on the way up, I knew Kasey wouldn't be all there in his mind. So the party got my completely mangled corpse all the way back to Oakhurst and brought me to the local priest. He looked over my body and explained, using as many small words as he could, that no, I was dead, and that the only thing he could do with my corpse was either burn or bury it, as to my wishes. The party decided it would be best to bury my body and leave my corpse with the priest to be cleansed and dressed for the funeral. Gwyn and Shadak made their way to the local pub to honor my death, and while they were getting super drunk, my body began to breathe again. Naked and without memory, my body had fully healed. My hair had grown out a little bit, and I needed to drink something quick. My guy had only moments to leave before someone came back and saw a zombie on the table, so he grabbed a nearby robe and went to the local tavern, meeting up with Shadak and Gwyn. Much to their surprise, they came to me and asked me how I came back. I shook my head, saying I didn't know, and said I was thirsty. They kept calling me Kasey, and I let them know my name was Joans. Same body, but different personality. Over the next hour, they caught me up on what we had done last session, and told me what we were headed out to do. We said we went to sleep, and slept, and left the following morning back out to the Citadel. This time we went in and actually did Citadel stuff. I will only highlight things that affected the later parts of the campaign due to not wanting to spoil the actual module to anyone that wants to play this one later. We met a dragon named Calcrix, and Jones convinced Calcrix to follow him. Calcrix ended up being Jones's familiar follower companion. Gave up a feat just for this. We found an elf named Adaran, who was a player new to the game as well. Adaran was an elf guy who loved to cross-dress. Players' words, not mine, that was sent in with the heck relays. He joined our party for quite some time after this. We went deeper and deeper into the Citadel, to the point where we found a passage that led into the Underdark, a whole world that was underground. More on that in a later video, I'm sure. Shadak stole a jade dragon statue, and we confronted the true villain that was behind the whole shenanigans. Once the villain fell, the mask he was wearing jumped onto Shadak's face, and then turned clear immediately after. With our main missions behind us, we went back to town to tell the village mayor everything that happened. Jones went to the Heck Relay residence to complete his mission as well. Jones got a cool longsword named Shatterspike that gave a bonus to Sunder checks. We ended this portion of the game and wondered what to do next. One of the other players said he had something he could run for a little bit, and that while he was running the game, the DM could sit in and actually play. We were all agreed to this and had drinks to celebrate our small group and our ability to actually complete a module. And so ends this story. Thank you for listening. I was your host, Kano Vol, and I hope to see you next time for another of Kano's Tales.